The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was the largest room ever built by any species. It floated in the heart of Station Orion 7, far from any star system, in the empty black between galaxies. Here, the leaders of 1,000 worlds gathered to decide the fate of civilizations. Today, High Speaker stood at the center of the chamber. He was tall and thin, covered in silver feathers that caught the light like metal. His people, had led the council for 300 years. They were wise. They were careful. They did not make decisions without thinking first. And right now, was very worried about the humans. "Honored delegates," said, his voice echoing through the vast space. "I have called this emergency session to discuss the species to make contact with our galactic community, the species called humanity." Around him, hundreds of alien delegates sat in floating chairs. Some had scales, some had fur, some had no solid form at all. They came from every corner of the known galaxy. They had lived in peace for 1,000 years. Touched a control on his wrist. A massive screen appeared in the air above him. On it, images began to play. The first image showed a human city in flames. Soldiers marched through smoke and fire. Bodies lay in the streets. "This is from their history," said. "They call it World War II. It happened only 200 years ago. Over 60 million of their own kind died." The delegates shifted uncomfortably. 60 million. That was more than the population of some entire planets. The next image showed rows of weapons, bombs, tanks, ships that sailed on water and fired explosive shells, aircraft that dropped fire from the sky. "They built these machines specifically to kill each other," continued, "and they kept building better ones, faster ones, more deadly ones." Now the screen showed something even worse. A bright flash of light, a mushroom cloud rising into the sky, a city turned to ash in seconds. They created weapons that could destroy entire cities with a single explosion. They pointed these weapons at each other. They lived for decades under the threat of total destruction, and they called this peace. The chamber was silent. Some delegates looked sick, others looked away from the screen. Ambassador of the watched with all 6 of his eyes. He was different from the others. He did not look away. Instead, he leaned forward, studying the images carefully. Something about them bothered him, but he could not say what. Changed the display again. Now it showed human entertainment, movies, games, stories. "This is what they watch for fun," said. "Wars, battles, soldiers killing soldiers, heroes who solve problems with violence. They celebrate warriors. They build statues of generals. They sing songs about conquest." He paused and let the images continue. Explosions, fighting, death. "In the 1,000 years since we banned warfare, no species in this council has raised arms against another. We learned that violence is the mark of primitive minds. We evolved beyond it. We found better ways to solve our problems." Turned off the screen. His silver feathers lay flat against his body, a sign of deep concern among the. "But these humans have not evolved. Their entire history is war after war after war. They have never stopped fighting, and now they have developed space travel. They are reaching out to the stars. They want to join our community." He spread his wings wide. "Can we allow this? Can we invite a species of warriors into our peaceful civilization? What happens when they decide they want something we have? What happens when they turn those weapons on us?" The chamber erupted in worried voices. Delegates shouted over each other. Fear spread through the room like a disease. Ambassador raised one of his arms, requesting permission to speak. Noticed and nodded. "High Speaker," said, his voice calm and deep, "I have a question." The chamber quieted, was known for asking difficult questions. "You showed us their wars, you showed us their weapons, you showed us their entertainment." Paused, "But you did not show us their soldiers coming home." Tilted his head. "I do not understand." "I have studied the humans," said. "More than just their battles, I have seen what happens after their wars end. Their soldiers return home broken. Many cannot sleep. Many cannot forget what they did. They suffer for the rest of their lives. He stood up from his chair, all 6 legs supporting his large body. If humans love war so much, why do their warriors come back damaged? Why do they build monuments to their dead? Why do they promise again and again that each war will be their last? His feathers ruffled with irritation. You are making excuses for them. I am asking questions, replied. Something does not add up. A species that truly loves violence would not mourn its victims. A species that enjoys killing would not call its soldiers heroes for surviving, not for killing. Enough, said sharply. We have seen the evidence. The humans are dangerous. Their nature is violent. We cannot risk our civilization on the hope that they have changed. He turned to address the full council. I propose that we isolate humanity. No trade, no alliances, no communication. Let them stay in their small corner of the galaxy. If they are truly as violent as their history shows, they will destroy themselves eventually. If not, we can revisit this decision in a few centuries. The vote was called. One by one, the delegates voted yes. Isolation, protection, safety. Voted no. He was the only one. As the session ended and the delegates began to leave, a young messenger rushed into the chamber. He went directly to High Speaker and whispered something in his ear. Silver feathers turned pale gray. Fear. Delegates, he called out, his voice shaking. I have received urgent news. The Dominion has declared conquest war on the outer reach. 3 peaceful systems are under attack. The chamber went silent again. There were conquerors. They were brutal. They had taken 60 star systems over the past century, and no one had been able to stop them. They are moving fast, continued. Their trajectory will bring them close to human territory within 2 years. Looked at the High Speaker. Perhaps, he said quietly, we should have asked the humans for help instead of locking them out. Did not answer. He simply stared at the star map that appeared on the screen, watching the red markers of the fleet moving closer and closer to the galaxy's species. The humans. The ones who were very, very good at war. And whom the Council had just decided to abandon. Lieutenant Minyu had never felt so small in his entire life. He stood in the center of the Grand Chamber, surrounded by hundreds of alien delegates. They watched him with eyes of every color and shape. Some had no eyes at all and sensed him in other ways. All of them were waiting for him to speak. He was 27 years old. He had joined the United Earth Fleet because he was good with languages. He could learn any system of communication in weeks. He had learned 12 alien languages in 3 years. That was why they sent him. But nothing had prepared him for this. Honored delegates of the Galactic Council, Minyu began. His voice was steady, even though his heart was racing. I bring a message from Admiral Park, Supreme Commander of the United Earth Fleet. High Speaker stood nearby, watching with cold eyes. He had not wanted this human in his chamber, but protocol demanded that any species could request to address the Council, even isolated ones. Minyu pulled out a small device and pressed a button. Admiral's voice filled the chamber, translated into 1,000 languages simultaneously. Members of the Galactic Council, we know what is happening in the outer reach. We have watched the Dominion attack your people. We have seen 3 worlds fall in 3 weeks. We know that more attacks are coming. The chamber was silent. Every delegate listened. We also know what you think of us. You believe we are violent. You believe we are dangerous. You isolated us because you feared what we might do. Admiral's voice was calm and clear. There was no anger in it, only truth. But we are not your enemy. They are your enemy. And we can help you stop them. We have fought wars. We have won wars. We have ended wars. Let us help you. The recording stopped. Minyu stood alone again. High Speaker stepped forward. His silver feathers were smooth and controlled, showing nothing. The council thanks the human delegation for its offer, said. His voice was polite but cold. However, we must decline. The Galactic Council does not engage in warfare. We will find a diplomatic solution to the problem. Minyu felt his stomach sink. High Speaker, with respect, the do not negotiate. Their last 3 attacks ended in complete conquest. Every species that tried to talk to them was destroyed. That is because those species were weak, replied. The Council is not weak. We have resources, we have allies, we will find a way. What way? Minyu asked. He knew he should stay quiet, but he could not. Will you pay them tribute? Will you give them what they want? They do not want goods or territory. They want slaves. They want conquest. They want to rule. A murmur went through the chamber. Some delegates looked uncomfortable. They knew the young human was right, but raised one wing, silencing the crowd. We would rather deal with the than invite human violence into our civilization. At least we understand the. They are conquerors, yes, but they are predictable. You humans are something else entirely. Your history shows that you fight without reason, without logic, without end. We cannot trust you. Minyu wanted to argue more, but he saw the faces around him. The delegates were afraid, not of him, of what he represented. He bowed his head. I understand, but please remember our offer. When you need us, we will come. He turned and walked out of the chamber, his footsteps echoing in the vast silence. Far away on the destroyer Resolve, Captain watched the broadcast from the council. She sat in her command chair, surrounded by screens showing star maps and tactical data. Her face was calm, but her jaw was tight with frustration. They refused, she said. Doctor stood beside her. Was the ships. Her job was to understand aliens, to think like they thought. Right now, she was thinking about the council's decision. They are afraid, said, not of us. Shook her head. We offered to help them. We offered to save their people. Why would they be afraid of that? Pulled up some information on a nearby screen. It showed images from human history. Wars, battles, the same things the council had seen. To them, we are monsters, said. They look at our history and see only violence. They do not see the reasons. They do not see the fear, the desperation, the sacrifice. They only see the blood. So they would rather die than accept our help. They do not believe they will die. They have never faced a real threat. For 1,000 years, every conflict in this galaxy has been solved with words or money. They have forgotten what happens when those methods fail. Stared at the star map. Red markers showed the fleet moving deeper into Council territory. Green markers showed the Council's ships, spread thin and poorly armed. They won't stop, said. I've read the reports. They're not interested in peace. They're interested in winning. I know, said, but the Council doesn't understand that yet. They will learn. How many people will die before they learn? Did not answer. There was no good answer. Stood up and walked to the main window of the bridge. Outside, stars filled the darkness. Somewhere out there, innocent people were dying, and she could do nothing to help them. Why do they think we love war? Asked quietly. Came to stand beside her. Because they have never met anyone who hated it enough to master it. Turned to look at her. What do you mean? We do not fight because we enjoy it, Captain. We fight because we have seen what happens when no one fights. We have watched tyrants rise. We have watched innocent people die. We have learned through terrible experience that some evils cannot be talked away. Some monsters must be stopped with force. She paused. The Council species evolved without predators, without threats. They never needed to learn how to fight, so they never learned why someone would choose to. Thought about this. She thought about her grandfather who had served in the last great war on Earth. He had never talked about it. He had nightmares until the day he died. But when she asked him why he fought, he always said the same thing. Because someone had to. The communication system beeped. A message was coming in. Returned to her chair and opened the channel. Lieutenant Minyu's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired, defeated. "Captain, I'm returning to the ship. The Council has officially rejected our offer. They want nothing to do with us." "I know," said. "We watched the broadcast. You did well, Lieutenant." "Did I? Nothing changed. You told them the truth. That's all anyone can do." Minyu nodded slowly. "What happens now?" Before could answer, another alert sounded. A news broadcast from the Council network. The first image showed a burning city. Ships with the markings of the Dominion filled the sky. People ran through the streets screaming. "The planet has fallen," the announcer said. "The planetary government surrendered after only 6 hours of fighting. All citizens are now property of the Dominion." The next image showed Warlord, commander of the fleet. He was large and covered in thick scales. His eyes were yellow and showed no mercy. "This galaxy belongs to the strong," said into the camera. "Your council is weak. Your ships are toys. Your people are cattle." He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Where are your human friends now? They offered to help you and you sent them away. Perhaps you should have said yes." He laughed and the broadcast ended. Stared at the blank screen. Her hands were shaking, not with fear, with anger. "Captain," Minyu's voice came through the communicator. "Return to the ship," Lieutenant said. "Something tells me the Council is going to change its mind very soon." She looked at Doctor, "And when they do, we need to be ready." 2 more Council worlds fell in the next month. The planet surrendered after 2 days. The planet tried to fight back with their small defense fleet. They lasted 4 hours. Now both worlds belong to the Dominion. Refugees flooded the space lanes. Millions of people crowded onto ships and fled toward safer systems. They had lost everything: their homes, their families, their entire way of life. Ambassador watched the refugee ships from his office on the. His 6 eyes tracked each tiny light crossing the darkness of space. Each light was a ship full of frightened people. Each light was a failure. The Council had failed them. He had failed them. His communication device beeped. A secure channel. Someone was trying to reach him without the Council knowing. That was dangerous. That was also necessary. He answered the call. A human face appeared on the screen. Admiral Park. He was older than expected, with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. Those eyes had seen many things. They had the look of someone who understood suffering. Ambassador said, "Thank you for accepting my call." "Thank you for making it," replied. "I have wanted to speak with you for some time." As have I. Leaned forward. "I will be direct. The Council rejected our help, but I am not asking the Council anymore. I am asking you. Your people are in danger. They are moving toward space. If they reach you, they will not stop until everyone is in chains." Closed several of his eyes, a sign of pain among his species. "I know. I have tried to convince the Council to reconsider. They will not listen. They are still more afraid of you than the." "Then I am not asking for the Council's permission. I am asking for yours." Opened all 6 eyes wide. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that the United Earth Fleet is preparing to move. We have 47 warships ready. We can reach the border in 3 days. We can stop them before they reach your world. But the Council has forbidden any alliance with humanity. If you enter our space without permission, they could declare you enemies." Smiled. It was a sad smile. "Ambassador, do you really think we care what the Council calls us? We are not doing this for political reasons. We are doing this because it is right." Was silent for a long moment. He had studied humans. He had defended them before the Council, but he had never truly understood them until now. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you risk your ships and your people for species that rejected you, that insulted you, that called you monsters?" His expression grew serious. "Because we have seen this before on our own world, in our own history. We have watched evil grow because good people did nothing. We have learned that waiting only makes things worse, and we have promised ourselves never again." He paused. "Your people are innocent, Ambassador. They did nothing wrong except be in the path of a conqueror. That is not a crime. That is bad luck. And we will not stand by and watch bad luck destroy an entire civilization. Felt something strange in his chest. Later, he would learn that humans called this feeling hope. My government has ordered me not to contact you, said. They are afraid of what the council will do. I understand. But my government is wrong, straightened all 6 of his legs. I am contacting you anyway. Please help us, Admiral. We cannot stop the alone. Nodded, we are already on our way. Far away on Earth's orbital command station, Admiral Park ended the call and turned to face his command staff. They sat around a large table looking at star maps and reports. The room was tense. Everyone knew what this meeting meant. They have unofficially requested our help, said. The Council still refuses to acknowledge us. We have no treaty, no alliance, and no legal right to enter their space. He looked around the table at the officers who had served with him for decades. I am asking for your opinions. Should we go? General Bora spoke first. She was in charge of fleet tactics. Admiral, they outnumber us nearly 5-1. Their ships are larger. Their weapons are powerful. If we engage them, we will take heavy losses. I know. And if we lose, Earth will be undefended. They could turn toward us next. I know that too. Admiral, head of intelligence, leaned forward. Sir, the Council made it clear they do not want our help. If we go anyway, we might make enemies of both thee and the Council. We could be fighting the entire galaxy. That is possible. Doctor, attending as a special advisor, spoke up. There is another consideration. If we do not go and the fall, the Council will blame us anyway. They will say we could have helped but chose not to. Our reputation will suffer either way. Captain, the youngest officer at the table, cleared his throat. Sir, may I speak freely? Nodded. I joined the fleet because I believed in something. I believed that humanity had grown beyond just protecting ourselves. I believed we had become something better, something that would stand up for others even when it was hard. He paused. If we turn away from this, what was the point of all that progress? What are we, if not the people who help? The room was quiet. Everyone was looking at Admiral. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Earth hung below, blue and green and alive. Billions of people living their lives, unaware of the decision being made above them. I have been a soldier for 40 years, said. I have never started a war, but I have ended 3. And every time people ask me the same question. Why? Why do you fight? Why do you risk everything for people you have never met? He turned back to face his officers. The answer is simple, because if we do not, who will? They will keep conquering. The Council will keep surrendering. World after world will fall. And eventually the darkness will reach us too. Not because we fought, but because we did not. He placed his hands on the table. I am not ordering anyone to come with me. This mission is voluntary, but I am going. My ship is going, and anyone who wants to join me is welcome. He did not need to wait long. My fleet is with you, General said. Intelligence supports this action, Admiral added. One by one, every officer at the table pledged their support. Admiral allowed himself a small smile. Then send the orders, all ships to the border, full combat readiness. He looked out the window one more time. We are not waiting for the darkness to come to us. We are going to meet it. 3 days later, the United Earth Fleet jumped into Council space. 47 warships, carrying thousands of men and women who had volunteered for a mission that might kill them all. Captain stood on the bridge of the Resolve, watching the stars stream past as they traveled faster than light. Her crew was at their stations. Some were praying. Some were writing letters to families they might never see again. All of them were afraid. And all of them had come anyway. Captain, Lieutenant Minu said from his station, we are receiving transmissions from the Council. They are demanding we turn back. They say we are violating their space. Smiled grimly. Tell them we received their message and we are choosing to ignore it. Understood. The fleet continued forward, toward a battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. And every single human aboard knew what they were flying toward. They knew, and they flew anyway. Because someone had to. The Veil Nebula was beautiful. Purple and blue gases swirled through space like paint on a canvas. Stars glowed through the clouds. It was one of the most peaceful places in the galaxy. Today, it would become a graveyard. Warlord stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Conqueror. Around him, 200 warships held position. They were massive vessels, each one the size of a small city. Their hulls were covered in weapons. Their crews were veterans of dozens of conquests. Was in a good mood. The Council species were weak as expected. 3 worlds had fallen without real resistance. Soon, the entire outer reach would belong to the Dominion, then the core worlds, then everything else. His second-in-command, a warrior named, approached with a report. Warlord, our scouts have detected ships approaching from the human sector, 47 vessels. Clicked his teeth together in amusement. The humans. Finally, they show themselves. I was beginning to think the Council's stories about them were exaggerated. Sir, the human ships are much smaller than ours. Their fleet is less than a quarter of our size. Of course it is. Walked to the main viewing screen. In the distance, he could see the human fleet emerging from faster-than-light travel, tiny ships against the vastness of space. The Council was afraid of these creatures. They look like prey to me. He opened a communication channel. Human ships, this is Warlord of the Dominion. You have entered territory claimed by conquest. Turn back now or be destroyed. A moment later, a response came. A human face appeared on the screen. It was Admiral Park. Warlord, my name is Park. I command this fleet. I will speak plainly because I do not think you understand subtle words. Leaned forward, curious despite himself. We did not come here to surrender, continued. We did not come here to conquer. We came here to tell you something very simple. His voice hardened. Stop, turn around, go home. Laughed, the sound echoed through his command deck. Or what, little human? Your tiny ships will scratch our hulls. No, said. We will not scratch anything. If you do not leave, we will destroy your fleet. We will kill your soldiers. We will end your conquest. And we will make sure that no ship ever threatens this part of the galaxy again. For a moment stopped laughing. There was something in the human's voice, something cold, something certain. Then shook it off. The human was bluffing. They always bluffed. Every species in the galaxy talked brave when they were about to die. You are 47 ships against 200. You are insects. I will give you one chance to surrender. Your crew will be enslaved rather than killed. This is the only mercy you will receive. His face did not change. We did not come here to surrender. The communication ended. Smiled and turned to his officers. All ships attack formation, destroy them. The fleet began to move. 200 warships advanced toward the small human formation. From every angle, the battle looked hopeless for the humans. They were outnumbered, surrounded. And then the humans did something unexpected. They attacked first. Captain gripped the arms of her command chair as the resolve accelerated to full combat speed. Around her, her crew worked with silent efficiency. Every person knew their job. Every person did it without hesitation. Squadron 2, on my mark, said into the fleet communication channel. We are going straight through the center. Lieutenant Minu looked at her with wide eyes. Captain, their center formation has 50 ships. We have 12. I know, pulled up the tactical display. The fleet was arranged in a traditional conquest formation with their strongest ships in the middle. Their command vessels were there. Their communication arrays were there. And their warlord was there. They have never faced an enemy that attacks the center, explained. Every species they have conquered tried to run or tried to defend. None of them tried to cut through. They will not be prepared for this. The Resolve shuddered as it entered weapons range. Energy beams sliced through space. One hit a nearby human ship, cutting deep into its hull. Squadron 2 Mark shouted. 12 human destroyers surged forward. They did not try to avoid the enemy fire. They flew directly into it. Ships took damage. Crew members died, but they kept going. On the Conqueror, Warlord watched in confusion. "What are they doing?" he demanded. "They are flying into our guns. They are committing suicide." "Sir, they are not slowing down," reported. "They are accelerating. They are heading directly for our command ships." "That is impossible. No sane species would do that." "The humans are doing it." The 12 destroyers tore through the center like knives through paper. They fired as they flew, targeting communication arrays and command towers. 3 human ships were destroyed, but the others kept fighting. They punched through the formation and came out the other side, leaving chaos behind them. The fleet was suddenly without coordination. Ships tried to communicate but found their signals jammed. Commanders gave orders that no one received. The perfect formation began to break apart. Admiral watched the battle from his flagship, the Defiance. His face was calm, but his hands were clenched tight. "Phase 2, he ordered. "All squadrons engage." The full human fleet attacked. They did not fight the way they expected. They did not form lines and exchange fire. Instead, they moved constantly, hitting targets and retreating, appearing where the enemy did not expect them. Human ships targeted supply vessels, communication relays, engine systems. They did not try to destroy the enemy with brute force. They tried to make the enemy unable to fight. The battle lasted 11 hours. For the first 5 hours, they held their advantage. Their numbers and firepower caused heavy damage to the human fleet. Ships were destroyed. Thousands of soldiers died. The space around the Veil Nebula filled with wreckage and fire. But the humans did not stop. Every time a human ship was destroyed, its squadron kept fighting. Every time a captain fell, someone else took command. They did not retreat. They did not surrender. They just kept coming. And somewhere around the 6th hour, something changed in the fleet. They began to panic. Warlord had never seen anything like it. His crews were warriors. They had conquered 60 worlds. They were not afraid of battle. But they were afraid now. "Sir, our ships are breaking formation," reported, his voice shaking. "Crews are refusing to advance. They say the humans do not stop. They say the humans cannot be killed." "That is foolish," snarled. "The humans die like anyone else." "Yes, sir, but when they die, their comrades do not retreat. They fight harder. They scream and cry and keep fighting. Our soldiers do not understand this. They have never seen grief used as a weapon." Looked at the tactical display. His fleet was falling apart. 62 of his ships were destroyed or disabled. Human losses were smaller, only 14 ships, but they had damaged nearly half of his remaining force. And they showed no signs of stopping. Warlord said, "The humans are regrouping for another attack. If they hit our flagship, we will be destroyed." Stared at the display, he thought about his career, his conquests, his legend. Then he thought about the look in the human admiral's eyes, that cold certainty. "Order all ships to retreat," said. The words tasted like poison. "Sir." "I said retreat, full speed, get us out of here." The fleet turned and ran. For the first time in their history, they fled from battle. On the bridge of the Resolve, Captain watched the enemy ships disappear into faster-than-light travel. Her crew was exhausted. Her ship was damaged. She had lost 11 good people. But they had won. Lieutenant Minu opened the fleet communication channel. His voice was hoarse but clear. "This is the United Earth Fleet to all Council stations. They have been stopped. Repeat, they have been stopped." Across the galaxy, Beings of every species heard the message. They heard the impossible news that a small human fleet had defeated the unstoppable Dominion. And for the first time in a long time, they felt something they had forgotten. Hope. High Speaker could not sleep. 3 days had passed since the Battle of the Veil Nebula. 3 days since the humans had done the impossible. 3 days since everything he believed had been proven wrong. He had watched the battle recordings 100 times. He had seen human ships fly into certain death. He had seen crews fight through fire and pain and loss. He had seen soldiers die screaming and their friends keep fighting through tears. He did not understand any of it. The council was in chaos. Delegates argued about what to do next. Some wanted to immediately ally with the humans. Others were more afraid of them than ever. A species that could do what the humans had done, that was a species that could conquer the galaxy if it wanted to. Needed answers, real answers, not politics or fear. That was why he had traveled to the human fleet, now holding position near the border. That was why he was walking through the corridors of a human ship, surrounded by creatures he had once called monsters. Doctor walked beside him. She was his guide and translator. She was also the only human who seemed to understand what he was feeling. "You are confused," said. It was not a question. Silver feathers rippled. "I am more than confused. I am lost. Everything I thought I knew about your species is wrong, but I do not know what the truth is." They stopped outside a door. Sounds came from inside, quiet voices crying. "This is the medical bay," said. "What you will see inside may help you understand." She opened the door. The room was full of injured soldiers. Men and women lay in beds, covered in bandages and healing machines. Some were missing limbs. Some were burned. All of them had the same look in their eyes, the look of people who had seen terrible things. Led past the beds to a private room at the back. Through the window, he could see Captain sitting beside a bed. She was holding the hand of a young man. "His name is," said quietly. "He is 22 years old. He was an engineer on the Resolve. During the battle, an explosion destroyed his station. He saved 3 of his by pushing them through an emergency door before the vacuum took him." Watched through the window, was talking to the young man. He could not hear the words, but he could see her face. She was crying, but she was also smiling. "What is she saying to him?" asked. "She is telling him about his mother's garden back on Earth. Loved that garden. He talked about it all the time, the flowers, the vegetables, the way the sun looked in the morning." The young man smiled. His eyes closed. His hand went limp in its grip. He was gone. Did not move. She stayed there holding his hand, tears running down her face. Then slowly she stood up. She arranged his arms gently across his chest. She kissed his forehead. She whispered something that could not hear. Then she walked to the door and stepped out. Her face was wet. Her eyes were red. She had not slept in more than 30 hours, but when she saw, she straightened her shoulders and met his gaze. "High Speaker," she said, "I was told you wanted to see our ship." Could not speak. He had expected to find a warrior. He had found a woman in pain. "How many?" he finally asked. "How many of your crew did you lose?" 11 was the last. His voice cracked slightly. He was the youngest. He was supposed to get married next year. "And yet you keep fighting. You keep leading. How?" Was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because they would want me to, because if I stop now, they died for nothing. I will mourn them for the rest of my life, but right now I have a job to do." She walked past him back toward the bridge, watched her go. He turned to Doctor. His feathers were flat against his body, a sign of deep distress. "I do not understand," he said. "You fight, you kill, you win, but you suffer so much. Every human I have seen since I arrived has been in pain. Why do you do this to yourselves?" Looked at him with gentle eyes. "Come with me. I want to show you something else." She led him through the ship to a small room near the outer hull. Inside, the walls were covered with photographs and names. Flowers sat in small containers. Candles flickered in the dim light. "This is our memorial space," said. "Every ship in the fleet has one. When we lose someone, we add their picture to the wall. We say their name out loud. We remember them." Looked at the faces. Young faces, old faces, men and women from every part of Earth. Each one had chosen to serve. Each one had known they might die. "We do not build these memorials to celebrate death," continued. "We build them to remember the cost. Every name on this wall is a reminder of what war truly is. Not glory, not adventure. Loss, pain, families destroyed, futures erased." She turned to face him. "You thought we loved war. That is the great misunderstanding. We hate war, high speaker. We hate it more than you can possibly know. Our history is soaked in blood because we kept hoping we could make it stop. We built monuments not to celebrate death but to remember it, so we would never forget the cost." Felt something breaking inside him. All his certainty, all his fear, it was being replaced by something else. "Then why do you fight?" he asked. "If you hate it so much, why do you keep doing it?" Smiled sadly. "Because someone has to. Because when evil rises, someone must stand against it. Not because we want to, not because we enjoy it, but because we cannot look away." She gestured to the memorial wall. Every person on this wall made a choice. They chose to put themselves between innocent people and harm. They knew they might die. They were afraid. They did it anyway. She looked into his eyes. "That is not violence, high speaker. That is sacrifice." Stood in silence for a long time. He thought about everything he had seen. The battle, the tears, the memorial, the young man dying while his captain held his hand. "We were wrong about you," he said at last. His voice was barely a whisper. "We saw your history and saw only blood. We did not see the grief behind it. We did not see the love." "Most species do not," said. "They see our strength and assume we must enjoy using it. They do not understand that we are strong precisely because we know what weakness costs." She led him back toward the bridge. As they walked, they passed crew members working at their stations. Some were bandaged, some were limping, all of them were exhausted. But they were still working, still serving, still ready to fight again if needed. "Your people protect others because you remember what it is like to be unprotected," said slowly. "You fight because you have seen what happens when no one fights." "Yes." "You are not warmongers, you are guardians." Nodded. "We are soldiers who dream of a day when soldiers are not needed. Every war we fight we hope will be the last. We know it never is, but we keep hopping anyway." They reached the bridge. Through the main window could see the stars stretching into infinity. Somewhere out there they were regrouping. The galaxy was still in danger. But the humans were here. The humans who hated war more than anyone. The humans who would fight and die and weep so that others did not have to. Made a decision. "I must address the council," he said. "I must tell them what I have learned today." "What will you tell them?" asked. His feathers rose slightly. "Hope. The truth, that we were wrong about the humans, that they are not the monsters we feared. They are the shield we never knew we needed." He looked at the stars one more time. "And that if we are wise, we will accept their protection before it is too late."